Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests, thank you very much for coming to our meeting today. The theme of this meeting is remembrance. 20 years ago, the September 11 terrorist attacks occurred. It may seem like a distant event, but I'm sure it doesn't seem that distant when you think of how you felt on that day. Those attacks occurred on a Tuesday, and my Toastmasters, my home Toastmasters club met just 2 days after that on a Thursday. Amidst all the grief and confusion we were feeling, we were wondering, should we meet? And we decided, yes, we should. It was a therapeutic meeting because we all got to discuss what we were feeling, the grief and anger, and that really helped a lot. So, and during this pandemic, we are continuing to go through a lot of emotions. And I feel that these meetings that we're having do help in our mental health. So as we observe a remembrance for those that we have lost, whether it was from the attacks 20 years ago or from more recent causes, let's continue to value each other's presence for how we can all help each other heal. I would now, before starting the program, like to acknowledge our guest. Some of you may remember her from past meetings, but in case any of you have not met her yet, Grace, would you please briefly introduce yourself? Tell us your name, where you live, and how you heard about our club.
Okay. Hello, I'm Toastmaster, and my name is Grace. You can call me Grace, and I'm from Albert Speakers. I'm currently live in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Yep. Anything you want to know about me?
How did you hear about our club?
I'm from Leeds.
You know, from Leeds. Oh, Leeds, yeah, okay. From Leeds, Welsh.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, great. All right, thank you, Grace, for joining us. What I would now like to do is ask our grammarian, Satya, to please provide our word of the day.
Greetings, Toastmasters. The word of the day today is dichotomy. Meaning is, it is defined as a sharp division of things or ideas into two contradictory parts, two parts. If I were to use it in a sentence, I can say the conference focused on the dichotomy of public and private education. I have put that in the chat box. I request you, all you great Toastmasters, to use it today in today's meeting. Back to Tiamu. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Satya. That is a very useful word, dichotomy. I feel that every Toastmasters meeting practices a dichotomy because we give both prepared speeches and impromptu speeches, two very different approaches to speaking, and we practice it at every meeting. I would now like to start getting into the heart of our meeting, which is our speakers. I would like to ask the evaluator of our first speaker to please talk about what the goals are for that first speech. Our first speaker is Satya, and Rosie is his evaluator. So Rosie, can you please explain what Satya's objectives are?
Thank you, Toastmasters of today. So the project is introduction to Toastmasters mentoring, and the purpose of this project is for the member to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring. The purpose of this speech is for the member to share some aspects of a previous experience as a protege, and the speech length is 5 to 7 minutes. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. Please help me welcome our first speaker, Satya Narayana, for Mentors in My Life. Mentors in My Life, Satya Narayana.
Sail, 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 shouted the vendors and at the Chennai beach, near the Chennai beach, talking about sale of second-hand books, comics, other fiction and non-fiction books. Dear Toastmasters, greetings to you all and the distinguished guests. This was about in the early 1960s. I used to go along with my father. He used to holding his little finger along the beach. En route, we used to see these vendors calling in loud words, "Come ladies, come gentlemen, have second-hand books purchased from us." That was how it was being shouted. I used to sometimes stand by my father and look very intently at the attractive coloring of these books. Often my father used to buy me Tintin, Tarzan, Phantom, those comics which I cherished at that point in time. That's how I picked up the reading habit in early age. I am thankful to my father, my mentor, till day. Unfortunately, he's no longer there, but right from the very early childhood, I picked up this habit of reading books. Even today, before going to bed, I make it a habit to read books at least for half an hour. That's the kind of I'm grateful to my father for developing this reading habit right from my childhood. Now, later part in my life, after my marriage, somehow due to my youth or rigor, I got ill-tempered often. My wife is a complaining type. She always keeps complaining, or she keeps nagging me all the time. So somehow I had the habit of getting angry on trivial things. One fine day, I told my wife about Toastmasters. So how well the Toastmasters meetings are organized. When somebody speaks, the other person doesn't retort. There is no argument. There is a role of a listener also, which is quite important. He listens through the meeting and finally he comes and interacts with the other members. She picked up that idea. She said, okay, you are a Toastmaster. You attend meetings. Why don't you act like a Toastmaster at home? When I nag you, when I complain, you should also keep silent and listen to me. You should not fight or be angry with me. That's when I learned, yes, this is a good advice I should take. She is my wife. She is my life partner. I should not be fighting with her all the time. Often we used to not talk with each other for having fought sometimes. Be that as it may, I picked up her advice, and from that day onwards, our fighting reduced significantly, and my temper also got in a controlled state, and my life became better after that, in fact, our relations. So to this day, as far as this incident is concerned, I am thankful to Toastmasters to be my mentor as well as my wife, both of them. Now I come to Anvita Hegde. Unfortunately, today she is not here. She sent me a message. She's on a long vacation. Maybe she's enjoying her vacation. But let me tell you about Anvita. She is my club mentor in the PGL. She has molded my English vocabulary, my speech writing skills, how to respond to the table topics, and also, fortunately or unfortunately, at the advice of another Toastmaster, I have picked up the engaging humor as one of the pathways. I completed my presentation mastery, but I picked up this one. People say that engaging humor is a little tough than other projects, other pathways that we have. Anyway, Anvita has been able to tell me how to craft my speeches. Till now, I have been able to take her advice, and I have gained confidence over a period of time. My stage fright, earlier I used to shiver like this. Even recently, about 6-8 months back, I had an official meeting. I was very funny to say that I was flipping the presentation slides on my laptop, not realizing the laptop being used in the meeting is somewhere else. Somebody else is doing it. I was flipping here and doing the talking. I was so confused. But with Anvita's help and kind of a teaching, my vocabulary, my speaking skills have improved. I'm thankful to Anvita. Dear Toastmasters, the key takeaways from my experience engaging with several mentors in my life has been that there is no limit to what we can learn from them. They provide immediate and realistic feedback, and you can improve more quickly. If I were to suggest to you Robert Greene's book, Master, he writes in his book, if you have a good mentor, you are able to pick up things in 5 years rather than a longer period of time, rather 10 years. A mentor will change your life, will bring you all the good things in life. It will give you proper direction. Therefore, choose a mentor who best fits your needs and connects with you well. I discussed about mastery. He also goes on to talk about many other stalwarts like Leonardo da Vinci, Benjamin Franklin, Michael Faraday, and how they have been able to benefit from the mentors. Friedrich Nietzsche has said that one repays a teacher badly if one remains only a pupil throughout his lifetime. As we go along in our life, we should not only learn from our mentors, but gain mastery of things what we are learning. As a result, with the help of mentors, I have gained mastery, as I told you, in several aspects in my life. Few of the things is good communication, vocabulary, better vocabulary, and more importantly, listening to my wife in a better way. I am sure you too, dear Toastmasters, if you follow the right kind of mentors in your life, will fare better in your Toastmaster journey as well as outside in the society. Over to Tiamat.
Thank you so much, Satya, for talking about the mentors in your life and how they have improved your life as well as your communication skills. I especially enjoyed hearing about the various books you got to enjoy growing up, because that brought back some memories for me as well. The second speaker scheduled for today, unfortunately, is not able to attend, and we hope that he feels better soon so that we can hear what he has to say for us. So I will go on to the next speaker scheduled on our agenda. But before I introduce Teresa, I would like to ask her evaluator, Ruben, to please talk about Teresa's speech objectives.
Well, I am very glad to be the evaluator for a great speaker and speech. In this time, we have the presentation mastery program of the pathways, and the project is on effective body language, which the speaker needs to choose a topic that lends itself to expression through movement and gestures. The speaker has to deliver speech containing practiced and refined nonverbal communication. And for this project today, we have our Toastmaster, Teresa. And the title of her speech is The First Principle Is. The first principle is Teresa.
All right, but thank you very much, Ruben. I want to say a little bit more about Teresa's speech here, as it's a pretty special speech. Teresa is working on a DTM project with her business partner, She is creating an online course for high achieving females 55 plus who want to rock the best version of themselves. Presently, she is meeting in person with a test group who is helping her design her course. She presented this speech to her ladies just this past Tuesday. So please help me welcome Teresa Carolyn with the first principle is.
You are never going to be CEO of this company. Did you not get that from the last interview? You are way out of your depth. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Has anyone ever told you that you could not do something that you really wanted to do? How did that make you feel? If you can, go into chat, give us a word about how you felt when someone took your success fulfilled balloon and popped it. I know that I didn't feel resentful. Of course, I didn't feel grateful. I felt disillusioned. I felt disappointed in myself. All of those years of experience, the education, I was practically doing the job, but I wasn't chosen. Why? How was I showing up for those interviews? And of course, the person that disillusioned me, I had to see her in the mirror, my nemesis, every day. So I couldn't avoid her. Research tells us that we are trained to think negatively about ourselves. And when we do, when our negative thinking rises, our self-confidence falls. How about you? Have you been trying to do something and yet your self-confidence has held you back? Are you deceiving yourself? Richard Feynman, American physicist and Nobel Prize winner, writes, "You must not fool yourself." And he adds, "You are the easiest person to fool." Was I fooling myself that I could achieve this? No, I don't believe so. But I was fooling myself when I believed the false stories that I was telling myself about myself. Self-deception has been said is more powerful than coercion. That means what we're telling ourselves is more powerful than others forcing us to believe in something. Also, did you know that one of the most common examples of self-deception is the busy person syndrome? Busy does not mean productive. Being productive means that you are moving towards a desired goal. Some of us are doing anything or even nothing to avoid what we really need to do for ourselves. The dichotomy of success and failure is the emotional struggle between the yes, I can, and no, I can't. In my years as a weight loss coach, when clients would come to me and say, I don't have time for this, I would turn to them and say, I guess you're not important. The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and that you are the easiest person to fool. Be brave, stick up for yourself, and don't get too busy doing what you don't need to do. How do we work through this? Well, one of the most important pieces of my success puzzle that I knew was missing for many years was mentorship. I didn't have that trusted mentor to bring me from here to there. I didn't have that trusted mentor who would have taught me to own my own fire and to do what needed to be done. I didn't have that trusted mentor who would say, jump, and then support me. Show up for yourself wherever and whenever. Take a deep breath and breathe in joy, happiness, love, success, and feel your power. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Teresa, for that very important message that we must stick up for ourselves no matter what we tell ourselves. And I'm excited that you are pursuing teaching of this online course, and we look forward to hearing about your progress in this as you work towards achieving your Distinguished Toastmaster designation. For our third speaker on the agenda, Elizabeth, I would like to ask, I would like to ask Samesh to please, as her evaluator, explain what her speech objectives are.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kaushal. Elizabeth is going to give a speech from the Effective Coaching Path Level 3. The name of the project is Connect with Storytelling. The purpose of her speech is to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. So she has to choose an established story, a story about her life or a fictional tale of her own creation, and deliver the 5 to 7 minute speech at a club meeting. All the best, Elizabeth. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Samesh. I'm very interested to hear the story we're about to enjoy. So please help me welcome Dr. Elizabeth Akinyi Owino with Walking Backwards.
Have you ever walked backwards? As far as I can remember, I have only walked upwards as a young child, and then it was during play. It may seem silly and useless having a backward movement. However, backward movement is a way of improving physical as well as mental well-being. It is noted in books that backward movement improves leg endurance as well as aerobic capacity and forces your mind to focus and operate differently. Therefore, having 10 to 20 minutes of walking backwards is good for you and for me. As physical as it is, distinguished Toastmasters and guests, we can also walk backwards emotionally by doing things that people think are beyond us and not for us, not for our level. And this may actually be good for our physical and mental well-being. I remember very well, it was the month of July. To be precise, it was the 25th of July. It was our choir day. A choir day in church simply means that everything is run by the choir, from the ushering to reading of the Bible in the service, and also the sermon. In short, it is actually a musical Sunday. Under normal circumstances, on such days, we invite other groups of choirs to come and be with us on such an occasion. But because we are living in uncertain times, COVID-19 protocols do not allow that we have large gatherings. And for that, we could only afford to invite one choir as a host. All the preparations and logistics were put in place. The organizing secretary of the choir did all he could to make sure that everyone had a task, and most of the tasks were assigned in groups. My task was to ensure that the meals were prepared and served in good time. There was another group that handled the purchasing, and another group made sure that cooking was done very well. The day came, and it was such a glorious performance. Truth be told, I love choir, and I love singing. In fact, when I sing, it is like I feel myself, I understand myself. I may not have those rich voices, but I know that my line, the third voice, the tenor voice, enjoys my support. No wonder William Blanco once said that dancing and music will cure things that medication cannot. At the end of the day, everyone was so exhausted from weeks of planning to the actualization of the day. As the guests left, everyone wanted to go home and in a hurry. Having arrived in church before 7 a.m., and here it was going after 7 p.m., you couldn't blame anybody. It had been a long day, and everyone desired to get home, me included. It was then that I realized that the choir organizing secretary forgot to assign tasks to one critical area, and that is the cleaning of the dishes. I looked around me, and I saw that there was nobody who was ready to assign themselves to this task. It was then that I remembered that I am a Toastmaster. And as a Toastmaster, one of the pillars is service. This is where rubber meets the road, I whispered to myself. I quickly rolled up my sleeves. I walked towards the heap of dirty, messy plates with leftovers. Nothing had been sorted. My first task was to sort the plates from the spoons, the leftovers, heap them aside, organic from inorganic. But luckily, there was hot water on fire, and I used it to begin. No sooner had I begun than I saw 3 other ladies of different ages walk towards me. Not being a person to waste my energy at such critical moments, I just continued as if I had not seen anybody. We were all quiet, but we worked. After about 30 minutes, there was no sight of any dirty utensil around where we were. The plates had been cleaned, the spoons had been cleaned, the sufurias had been cleaned, and everything was sparkling clean. Walking backwards had done the trick. I smiled as I remembered one of the common phrases that my parents used with us, and which I also use with my children today, that working or work has never killed anyone. Being idle is a silent killer. So I walked backwards and did what was not expected of me, and I saved the day. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth, for that very important lesson of the importance of walking backwards, whether it is physically or as an act of service to others. I would now like to ask our timer, Sabaria, to please provide the times of the speeches that we have heard so far.
The time for the speakers. Speaker number 1, Satya, took 7 minutes and 1 second. Speaker number 2, Elena, yours is 6 minutes 49 seconds. Speaker number 5, Elizabeth, is 6 minutes 22 seconds. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Sabaria. I would just like to confirm that we are not doing a table topics today. Is that correct?
Yes, we were supposed to have 4 speeches. I think that was the reason there was no table topics scheduled for today.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I would now like to start the evaluation part of our meeting, and leading us in the evaluation section is our general evaluator, Liz Welsh. So please, Liz, take it away.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Now, we heard 3 wonderful speeches, so let's now listen to their wonderful evaluations. Please give a warm virtual welcome to our first evaluator who evaluated Kash. No, you're the Toastmaster, aren't you, Kashal? Something. Please, Rosie, welcome.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters and especially Toastmaster Satya, I love your speech. First of all, you start with a very capturing, like you were sale or something, like you were saying, like, to attract us, which is a very good opening so that you can attract us to listen to you. And I also like your story because you have a lot of jokes in there. The first one was that you were telling about you and your wife, and then you were always like quarrel, and then you were angry, and then you solved that with Toastmasters, because when you're telling your wife about it, and your wife said, why don't you adopt Toastmasters, which is very good. I like it so much. And then another joke that I like also, when you're presenting and then you were like shaking, that's also, and also that you learn a lot from your mentor, Anvita, and then that when you did your presentation and it was like haywire, so that's really I like also. And then okay, and then you were telling us about your trip with your father, about books and how you like to read a lot of books, and also about how you have not only learn about presentation in Toastmasters, but also you have improved your vocabulary a lot. Thank you so much. And then you also give some value on Robert Greene books and about Benjamin Franklin, and I also love Friedrich Nietzsche, but I can't remember the quote that you give. But the most important thing is like there's 2 things I think to move you from to better The first one is that I don't see the transition between your reading habit and then you transition to the after you got married and then with the temper and all. So I don't see the link there. Maybe I missed something. I'm sorry for that. And the other thing is that I can see the whole of your body gesture because you were standing up. That's really good. So we can understand much better because I can see the whole of your gesture. The only thing is that the eye level maybe is just, yeah, up a bit because you are like looking down. So if the laptop can be on the eye level, it will be just perfect because we can see the whole of your movement. So overall, I really love your speech, all the jokes that you give, and I would like to see more of it. Thank you. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much indeed, Rosie, for that evaluation. And now I'd like to invite our second evaluator tonight, who is evaluating Teresa. So please give a warm welcome to Ruben.
Great. Well, it's good to know that all Toastmasters are applying what the manuals suggest us to do so we can grow in a good way. And I have seen that in Teresa's speech. First, I want to congratulate her because she applied very well most of the points that she had to deal with during her speech. And she excelled at in the opening. I really enjoyed your opening, Teresa. It was really engaging. It was very disrupting as well because we might be thinking about something else. I said, okay, and you brought to us something that we might have listened, we must have heard in our lives. And I think most of the population in the world have had that experience. So it was good asset. And I really enjoyed your body language. Since you use properly your hands, your hands accompanied your words successfully, as well as your facial expressions. I felt that you were at ease dealing with this, like trying to be as comfortable as much as possible and trying to get us to your speech. It was great. As well as your voice projection. It was good because you had ups and downs in your tune and the pitch of your voice, which was good, like storytelling. It was accurate in your speech. But always we have to work on betterment. And in this case, I think that you may work on your closing. My expectation of your closing was to have a very disruptive one as your opening, and to let us keep thinking about how your speech was, something like this. And I challenge yourself to place your camera at the same height of your eyes, like I'm doing here, because it could be, I felt as part of the audience that looking at you, looking at us from the bottom down, it was like not too much connection in this way. So doing this is like might feel that you are in person and you can personalize your speech that way. All in all, it was a great speech. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much indeed for that evaluation, Ruben. And now I'd like to introduce our third evaluator who evaluated Elizabeth's speech. Please give a warm welcome to Samesh.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Today I'm evaluating Elizabeth Okinyo's speech, which is related to connect with storytelling. The purpose of the speech of Elizabeth's was to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. and it was to be done in 5 to 7 minutes. In terms of the evaluation, there are 3 things that I wanted to comment on. One in which Elizabeth Akinyi Ovino excelled at. What she excelled at is how flowing the communication was in terms of letting us know. From the beginning to the end, the flow of the speech was excellent. And the ease at which you communicate with the audience is fantastic. I think we all can learn from the ease of communication that you have, each of your words. The next, in terms of the evaluation, is what you may want to work on. What I thought was, when you were ending your sentence, the last few words were not that clear. So maybe you can think about that, how we can improve that part. So there was a few sentences where it was not, the last few words were not audible clearly. And in order to challenge yourself, I would say you should bring in a little bit more vocal variety. You have a variety which is above a medium level of variety. Now you have actually an above average variety. And that's why I would like to challenge yourself that you make it even better, the variety, vocal variety that you have. In terms of the different aspects that we do evaluation for, like clarity, excellent clarity, gestures was very good, audience awareness is excellent, comfort level is excellent, the way you engage your audience interest is excellent, and the impact that you have on the audience is fantastic. The story that you have conveyed, everyone can relate with the story. We go to a community event and the whole community is together coming up to put on an event. And this happens, and I have personally experienced this myself as well. When you were talking about the cleaning part, we organize a large event, but people forget about the cleaning part. And that's something that not everyone is interested in participating in. And that's where our service aspect comes into picture, how much we have an attitude of service towards the community. The other aspects while doing service to the community is like if you're speaking in front of the audience, if you're taking up the leadership role. But the real leader is someone who not only shows the way, but goes the way. And you have shown it through your speech that you are a real leader. So congratulations, and thank you very much for your wonderful story, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed for that, Sumesh. So 3 wonderful evaluations there. I'd like now to ask our timer, Sabria, for the times of the evaluations, please.
Thank you, General Evaluator. The time taken for the evaluators are Rosie, it's 2.50 minutes, Rubin, 2.57 minutes, and Samesh, 3.23 minutes. Back to you, G.
Thank you. Wow, okay, and now it's time for the R-Counter report. So to give a big, huge, warm welcome, rousing applause to me. Thank you, everyone, as your R-Counter this evening, this afternoon, the morning, wherever we are in the world. And let me just change my view for some reason. That's it. And so listening sows ums and ahs. The trick, if you're stumbling, is to stop, take a moment's pause, relax, and your brain will trigger back in. Might not be the right bit that you're thinking of, but you'll think of something to say, and we will know no different. This evening, your ums and ahs and ers and so's have been extremely minimal. I only heard 3 people. I may have not been listening properly, but I did only hear 3. Kushel, just a few so's sitting in there to work on. Rose, it was only 1, but you said, okay. And Ruben, you said, once. And that's it. So fabulous. Congratulations to everyone for that. Back to you, General Evaluator. Thank you. Right, our next part is to listen to our grammarian who has been listening to our word usage. So over please to Sathya for our grammarian's report today. Thank you.
Greetings once again. I heard word of the day from Kaushal and Teresa. I'm going to mix up the other things which I've liked very much. In fact, I must say, Teresa used it in a speech. It's a prepared speech that is really commendable. Using the word of the day in the prepared speech, which you would have practiced any number of times, and introducing it in the speech is really commendable. Now, if I were to say what are the outstanding words, quotes, and sayings, I'll club everything together. What I heard from you all is my nemesis every day. I liked it very much. My success puzzle. Yes, I can. I thought it's a quote from Obama. That's good. Yes, I can. Self-deception is more powerful. Busy person syndrome. I heard it for the first time. So moving on. Elizabeth, actualization of the day. Dancing and music will cure ailments. That's good. It's really touching. In fact, I'll practice that. Walking has never killed anyone. That's good. I also walk every day. And finally, not only shows the way, but goes the way. Back to General Eval. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much indeed, Sathya. Just make some notes up. All right. Well, that concludes all of the roles. We've heard the evaluations and the various reports. So now, as general evaluator, I'd like to give you some feedback. I'd first of all like to start with the evaluations. We had the 3 wonderful evaluations. So Rosie, you were evaluating Sathya? Yes. I'm getting confused because you're in 2 roles, Sathya. Well done, Rosie. You introduced Sathya with very good, clear introduction. You gave us the objectives and the purpose of his speech, and you were welcoming and opening with that. So well done for that. With regards to the actual general evaluation, you had some very positive feedback for Sathya. You were positive in welcoming in your evaluation of him. You provided that good points of interest and ended on a positive note, the sandwich effect. You picked up on the camera level, and yes, I totally applaud that. It was wonderful that you were stood up, as you said, but the camera, it just looked as if you were looking down. So well done for picking that and explaining that to Sathya as well. And the other thing I think you were saying, it was about the eye contact, wasn't it? But overall, well done, Rosie, for providing that wonderful feedback. And I'm sure Sathya has some things to work on there. Well done. And our second evaluator was Ruben, who was evaluating Therese's speech. And Ruben, again, introduced Therese in a very, very clear way with the introduction, provided clear objectives and the purpose of the speech. And I believe also the 3 evaluators give the times. I knew I heard 2 of them, but again, it's just important to reinforce that. And it's a very good way to pack out that little bit of introduction that you have. The overall evaluation, again, you opened up congratulating Therese on her wonderful speech and picking up on the fact that she was using the word of the day within the speech, which is an absolutely fabulous thing to do. Her good points about her body language and facial expressions, and the points to reinforce her ending. And I think that you were given some very clear positive feedback to her, and of course ended up again in that sandwich effect on the positive note at the end. And Samesh, again, very clear objectives given at the beginning, a really good introduction to Elizabeth's speech. You also give the time. I think all of you did, as I've said. You were able to provide her with the constructive feedback in a very positive way. And one of the things that I really liked about the evaluation, and perhaps for all evaluations, it is I, my, me, not I think we all should think about. It's what you see, what you hear, and what you believe. And that's what Sept picked up on. He said, I believed. You had a positive opening and a very positive end, with those little bits in the middle for Elizabeth to improve upon, and especially to challenge her with her vocal variety. It's such a wonderful speech, and it was good that you picked up for something for her to challenge on. Well done to all our evaluators. Going through to the rest of the meeting, we started pretty much on time. Well, we were 3 minutes late, but again, because a lot of our members are busy in district roles, we were trying to sort that agenda out, but you did that, Sept, in a very clear, organised way, and you had us all covering the roles, so I applaud you for that. We kicked off with Kushal doing the Toastmaster of the day. Well done, Kushal. What I really enjoyed was that at the end of each of the speakers, you give them that positive reinforcement. You were obviously listening to everything they were, well, not everything, but you were picking up on enough there. You were listening, and you were able to provide that feedback very quickly to the speaker, which helps reinforce from the evaluation as well. You had steer, cleddy, it's a good job the grammarian's finishing it. You had very clear, steady vocals within that, and perhaps maybe just with a little bit more, I don't know how often Toastmaster of the Day role, but just to relax a little more and enjoy the time and just loosen up a bit and have a bit of fun. But apart from that, absolutely ran the meeting perfectly. Then we had the timer, Sabria, who did give us some excellent timing reports, very clear at the backgrounds. You got your backgrounds up and it was very clear, and your timings were perfect. You reported back well. The only thing, Sabria, I don't know if your sound is very quiet. I don't know if it's just my system, but I couldn't really hear you that clearly. I don't know how far you're away from your microphones, but just have to think about that. And from my perspective anyway, I'll check my settings later, it might be me. That's the only thing I can say. The grammarian, wow, what a fabulous word of the day. And it was used in the speeches, which shows how easily words can be injected into our speeches if they're not too complicated. So well done for that, and a wonderful feedback from your report, which I cannot find at the minute. Here we are. You picked up, like I said again, on the word of the day being used in the speech and how well that is constructed. You had picked up on so many of the wonderful word usages we've had tonight. The only thing I would think of, did we not say anything particularly wrong at all in our English language? I don't know, but maybe just to try and be a bit more dichotomized and look at our good and poor uses of the word. I've said it. The R counter, well, she was just absolutely brilliant. Can't say much about that one at all, except that. So it gives me greatest pleasure to have been your general evaluator this evening, this afternoon, this morning. And I now hand back over to our Toastmaster of the day, Kushal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liz, and to the entire evaluation team. That was very well done. I enjoyed the evaluations as much as I enjoyed the speeches themselves. I checked with Sept, and I got confirmation from him that it'd be okay to do a little bit of tabletop. I think we only have time for one, but I hate to end a Toastmasters meeting without having done any table topics, and we do have time for maybe one. So I would like to ask our guest, Grace, if she's willing, and if you would prefer not to, that's okay. But Grace, for your table topic, for which you have 1 to 2 minutes to speak on, what is your favorite celestial object? What is your favorite celestial object, Grace?
Pardon, what is object? What object?
Yeah, your favorite planet or star that you see in the night sky.
Oh, planet, object. Oh. Hello, Toastmaster. What is my favorite planet object. I never think about that because I sleep earlier. I don't really stare at the night on the sky. So if you ask me, what is my favorite object? It's a very good question. I should think about that. I think I love something like galaxies because it's sparkling. You can see it brightly if without darkness because it spark during the night. I think it represents a little bit on us, like especially now pandemic. It might be some darkness for somebody, but you should look at yourself like a star, perhaps because you sparks on others' eyes, maybe not on yours. So stay positive. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Grace. I'm also fascinated by galaxies. They are very beautiful and they are ginormous as well. I would now like to ask whether there are any announcements before we wrap up. No announcements? All right. I think we usually do a group photo at these meetings, so I can actually take care of that right now. If everyone, if anyone does not want to appear in the photo, please turn off your camera. Otherwise, on the count of three, please be ready to smile. 1, 2, 3. All right, I got it. Thank you very much, everyone. That concludes our Toastmasters meeting today. I know it's been a long day for many of you, but I hope it's been an enjoyable way to end. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much, Kaushal, for leading the Toastmaster role today.
It's my
Excellent.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining as well. One of the things that we should probably think about is in terms of the membership payment. So until 30th of September, I think we have the time. And I think many of us here have renewed the membership. And there are many more who need to, so please do think about that. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. And maybe we should probably have, it's 15, but shall we have 1 minute of silence in memory of all the people, the 9/11? Yes, Liz.
I'd just like to add to that as well, because our founder, Ralph Smedley, is the anniversary of his death today also.
Oh, is it? Okay, I was not aware of that. Okay.
1965, 11th of September, 65.
Okay.
So for everyone, but yeah.
Probably if you can time, Sabria, that will be great. Let's have 1 minute of silence in memory of all those people. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is the least that we can do, I think, in memory of all the people who are unfortunately lost their lives. Thank you.